What is up, everybody? Welcome to my surprise show of the week. I told you I'd deliver. I am here. I am ready to go. I have some water on me. It's in the afternoon. We couldn't get Studio 2 today because Mama Changavi still hasn't got the internet pressure that we may need for that. But I'm here with a really great show for you guys today, and I'm so excited. I cannot wait to get started with this show. And today we're talking all things Never Have I Ever, the show that all South Asians are supposed to love and adore. Do they all love and adore the show? I mean, well, that's up for debate because I took an Instagram poll and apparently 65% of the people on my Instagram poll wanted to fire Mindy Kaling after 2 seasons on the show Never Have I Ever. But I love TV. For those of you that know me, I love media. I love all of it. And so I decided to make a show about Never Have I Ever and give you guys a comprehensive, objective review of the show. So let me, real quick, before we get into like how everything's going to work and all that stuff, let me give you a little bit of background. So for those of you that don't know, a year ago I used to write. So I was a blogger. I know that was very 2013 and Tumblr, but I used to write blogs. And they weren't very popular. They were they get like 200 views or whatever. But I would blog and I would write different things. So I would write about my life, all that stuff, etc., etc. But I did a series where I wrote about every episode of Never Have I Ever because last year it came out during the peak of quarantine. None of us were really doing anything. So I had some time on my hands and I decided to write a few blogs about the show. And I went back and I read those blogs. And frankly, I'm quite disappointed in the way that I handled it. I thought that maybe last year going into it, I would just write from the heart. But it turns out I was borderline offensive. I felt like I didn't do the actors and actresses justice. I didn't treat Mindy Kaling and the producers of the show with a decent amount of respect. And I just feel like overall the blogs that I wrote last year were not indicative of how I truly feel about the show a year removed from it. Also, season 2 just came out. I have a podcast, so now I can talk about it and make sure my opinions are fully elaborated on rather than, edited and written and all of that stuff. So I feel like I can just kind of shoot from the hip and kind of give you guys a comprehensive, objective review of how I felt about this season 2 of Never Have I Ever, which dropped last week. You can go check it out on Netflix. And quick warning for everybody, spoilers are ahead. I'm going to be talking basically from the jump right about things from season 2. So if you guys haven't seen it and you want to go see it, watch it and then come back and watch this because I'm going to be spoiling things right off the bat really, really, really quickly. So don't watch the show if you don't want to know what happens. I'm going to be referencing events in season 2, and season 1, I guess, too. So, but not really. But yeah, if you haven't seen the show, go watch it. You probably won't even understand what's going on in the first place. So let me make that very clear. But how is this going to work? How is this whole review of mine going to work? Am I just going to sit here and talk into a camera like a normal TV show reviewer? No, because that would be basic and boring. So what I'm going to do and my epic plan for you guys is I'm going to sit here and I am going to be a coach is what I'll call myself. I'll call myself the head coach of the South Asian media department. Okay. You know how there are head coaches of sports teams, rappers have their agents. I'm going to be an all-encompassing version of that for brown people in the media. Okay. I'm going to be the coach for all of these people that are on this show. So I'm going to be, talking with the producers of the show, the actors and actresses of the show, and then give my own takeaways at the end. So the first half of this is basically going to be directed at the various actors, actresses, and producers of the show, giving more specific feedback to them. And the second half is going to be my overall takeaways. So I'm basically going to pretend like I'm a coach. I'm the coach of the team of Never Have I Ever, right? They can pay me Netflix can pay me however much they want. for their advice, for my advice on the show. And I'm just going to be like their advisor. I'm going to be their third party advisor who's completely objective, has zero stake in the game. I don't want to be, I would, do I care if this show has another season on the air? Not really. Like, I'm not that invested in it. I'm not like a stan. Do I care about anything related to this show? Somewhat. I care about the South Asian relatability and representation aspect of it. So I'm just going to talk about the lack, or I'm going to basically just advise the people that walk into my office today. This is going to be my office. They're going to be sitting on the other side of the desk. And I'm going to be talking with them and basically just having conversations with the actors, actresses, and producers of the show. And basically talking about what we can do to improve, some questions that they should be thinking about heading into the next phase and the production of season 3, which I presume the show is going to get renewed because of the popularity that it's had thus far, and basically where we can go from here. So hope you guys are interested. It's going to be kind of a long show, but I think it'll be fun, and I think you guys will be into it. So let's get right into the show with our first people have arrived. Look at that. Hi, Mindy. Hi, Lang. Please take a seat behind the dirty laundry. I know that shirt says tray area. Ignore it. Just throw it back. Sorry if the office is a little messy today. Recording out of my parents' bedroom, So the coach has to do what the coach has to do to make a living these days. So, but Mindy and Lang, thank you for coming in. Mindy, this is mostly going to be directed at you because you were the one that pitched Netflix this show way back in 2017, saying that this was going to be the South Asian show. This was going to be the show that we all wanted in regards to representing South Asians in media. And so I'm going to be directing my comments more towards Mindy because Lang Fisher is more so a secondary producer on the show. I don't know either of these two women personally, but they're both big shots in Hollywood, so they must have done something right. Okay, Mindy, here's what I have to say about season 2 of Never Have I Ever and Never Have I Ever in general. I think you have clear strengths in terms of what you do well. And I think one of those strengths that you do really, really well on this show is you're really good at making characters that don't matter. So you're really great at making characters and giving characters intrigue, but in the grand scheme of things, they have nothing to do with the show. I'll give you a couple examples on this season in particular. Mr. K, Manish Kulkarni, Utyarksh Ambekar is my new favorite human being. But besides that point, I'll talk more about Manish later. You made a lot of intrigue out of this guy, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of brown guys out there who were very interested by this character. But you made him basically irrelevant, and all he did was flirt with Devi's cousin Kamala the whole season. You could have made so many things. He's a brown teacher on campus, the only brown teacher. Devi's the one of 2 Indian girls in her class. You could have done so many things with this character, but you left so much to be desired. I hope you use him in season 3. I have a whole backstory written for him, which we'll get into later in my second half of the show. Mindy, I am truly disappointed with the way you use Manish. But the second character that I think you just don't, like, you made just completely useless, but has a lot of intrigue, is Pati, the grandmother. I love the grandmother concept. I think you were on the right track early in the season when you decided to bring the grandmother back from India to America and have her be a part of the show's fabric. I am a huge, huge, huge fan of that. Yes, because that's something that we can all relate to as South Asians, having our grandparents live in our houses for extended periods of time. It happens, right? That's great. I'm a huge fan of that aspect of the show. But you made the grandmother fucking useless, Mindy. What did you do with her? She was just in the show and she would make a couple wisecracks here and there. You could have done so many things with her. But I feel like I barely know who she is besides the fact that she's Devi's dad's mom. She's just kind of there. She seems like a very chill Indian grandmother, if one, right? And she just is a side character, which is fine. That's fine, but you could utilize her and make her into a character where she is so useful. She is Indian grandmothers are the best, man. You can make her like into like the funniest character with just like if you just give her lines of thumbnail and she's just like talking shit to Davy and Kamala, like that's hilarious. There's so many things you could do between her and Nalini. That dynamic is not explored. The dynamic between Davy and Pati is not explored. The dynamic between Kamala and Pati is not explored. There's so many things you could have done, Mindy, but you did none of them. You left Pati to be and basically just sit around, deliver wisecracks once in a while, and be the character that was, just kind of in the shadows when you could have done so much with her. I really hope you do more with her on season 3. There's so much left to be desired with both Manish and Pati. So that's my first point. You're really good at making characters, but not using them. Use the characters that you have in front of you. Okay. I have a question for you, Mindy. Not you, Lang, because you're white, but Mindy, real quick question here. Do you think genuinely, do you genuinely think that this show represents South Asians well? It's an open-ended question. I personally have no opinion on this. I think it goes back and forth. I think there are examples of how this show represents South Asians well. I think in early season 1, this show had an episode called about Ganesh Chaturthi, which is something that I celebrate as a South Asian, as a South Indian as well. And it was really nicely done. I like to see another holiday on this big screen rather than Diwali all the time, right? Like we're talking about different shit. That's important. I'm a fan of that. Good job, Mindy. I will give you your props where you deserve it. But you do that, and then you make this mind-puzzling decision at the beginning of season 1, before you even start the show, that you're going to give the cousin of Davy's mother, and Davy's father, you're going to give all those 3 actors and actresses fake accents? Like, how do you feel about that choice? Okay? You're a South Asian show, right? You live in a highly, highly woke era, right? Where a lot of people would criticize you potentially for making that choice. I'm shocked that more people haven't criticized her for making her actors and actresses do fake accents. I'm shocked that she was allowed to do that and that you were allowed to do that, Mindy. But here's the thing, is like how I feel about the accents is like, I feel like there are so many other actors and actresses who are looking for employment. And for those of you that remember, Never Have I Ever was an open casting call. So it was an open casting call, completely open to everybody. Like you could have been, you could have been like 8, like they were looking for anybody. Like they searched the country for all Indians, for all moms, for all dads to audition for the roles. And yet they couldn't find someone who grew up in India who lives in America right now. My mother tried out for the role of Nalini. My mom would have made a kick-ass Nalini. I think she would have been really, really good. I think there are a lot of aunties that tried out for Nalini, particularly in the Bay Area. I think they would have been fantastic. Mindy, and that's no offense to Purna, by the way. I think Purna is a great actress. Purna is one of the OGs in South Asian Hollywood. I respect the hell out of Purna. She does a great job in so many different roles. She's done both Bollywood and Hollywood. Nothing against Purna Jagannathan at all. But I think that you could have picked actors and actresses who maybe didn't who maybe don't, or who maybe have accents and who maybe have experience with being the Indian mom. Like the Indian mom that isn't first generation. The Indian mom that immigrated here. There are so many people that want that chance, that tried out for that chance and didn't get it. So, Mindy, tell me why. I know that was a little bit of a rant. Why do you feel the need to put fake accents on your actors and actresses? Tell me. It's not that hard, Mindy. Okay? I think that was a choice that could have been changed, and I am not a fan of the choice that you made with that, Mindy, and I'm disappointed, frankly. I don't think you can fix it. I think you have to keep it because it would be weird if Porna walks in with her normal voice in season 3. If Richa walks in with her normal voice season 3. If Sendhill has his normal voice season 3. I think that's weird. But well, you got to live with some. You lose some, you win some, you lose some, and you really lost that one. And I think you lost a lot of South Asian people with that one. And the last thing I want to talk to you about, Mindy, before I'll send you on your way, because I know you're busy, the lack of culture in season 2. You pitched this show to Netflix. I remember this very clearly as the South Asian show, as the show that was going to be about a South Asian family and about balancing culture and life and romance and all of those things. And that's great that you want romance to be a part of this show. To be honest, I don't really care that I mean, there's a love triangle, sure, whatever. Like, that bothered me to some extent because you could prioritize your time with the love triangle and talk about Maitri's life. This goes back to what me and Sachin Kumar were talking about. Shout out Sachin on episode 10 of my podcast. That you like, if you had replaced a white girl for a majority of those scenes, it turns into All the Boys I've Loved Before, right? Even though that's it's an Asian American lead in All the Boys I Loved Before. You could just replace Davey with some white girl named Melanie, and you're literally looking at the same fucking show, right? It's like, oh, like, I'm dating 2 boys at the same time. It's like, holy shit, what's going on? The first 2 episodes of this season were a wash, in my opinion, Mindy. You didn't really, the show picks up once Megan comes into the show. And I'm going to talk to Megan after I talk to Maitri. But my point is, I think there was such a lack of culture in this season, even though you claim that this show is for South Asians and there's some relatability. You could have done something with Bhatti. You could have done something with Devi's mother. The India visit was a very disappointing arc, but that, I feel like I'm being nitpicky with that one. I think overall, though, there was such a lack of culture here in season 2, and a lack of cultural representation. And it almost felt like you made that season 1 episode about Ganesh Chaturthi to appease the South Asians that were going to watch the first season so that now you could get into the second season, which is the real, meat of your show, and just basically talk about a normal high school teenage show, which is what most of this season felt like. It didn't feel like it was a South Asian show, which is fine. I think that's fine. And I think there was some level of cultural representation, a very baseline level, but I felt like there was more to be desired. And so I would like to see a little bit more of the cultural aspect come in season 3, because it's a big deal for Indian Americans, or not just Indian Americans, but South Asian Americans who are growing up in the States, is the cultural aspect of things. So that's what I'll say. But I mean, other than that, Mindy, like, there's a lot of little things that I could pick at with you. I think plot lines, characters, Davy just being incredibly unlikable this season, basically repeating the same mistakes that she repeated in season 1. Like, there's little things, Mindy. And that's my spiel to you, is that there are little things. There's a lot of stuff that I disagree with that you think is somehow television right. But those are little things, and I don't want to bring up little semantics and little plot lines that I had a problem with, even though I have a whole list of them, because that's what I would have done last season. But I'm trying to be more broad. And I'm saying, Mindy, I want you to keep one question in mind when it comes to season 3, and that's the question I asked earlier, is, do you feel like this show represents South Asians well? And if it doesn't, and if you answer no, that's fine. Just don't go up to Netflix and don't go to the average consumer that watches your show and be like, we are a show for South Asians. Don't lie to people. Just say we're a normal teen romance with the South Asian character, with South Asian characters. If you say, yes, this show represents South Asians well, then do a little more with the culture. Don't call yourself don't call this show the woke, the woke show with all the South Asians in it and claim you're representing us, when in reality, you're not doing anything. So do something in the next season. Maybe make a couple plot lines here and there. Make those people happy. Make me happy, Mindy. Make me happy. But that's all I have for you, Mindy. You can, feel free to leave. It was nice meeting you. Oh, you don't want to talk? Okay. All right. I'm sorry that Mindy Kaling feels that way, guys. I would have loved to have her on for a podcast, but okay, perfect. Can you send my 3 in? Thank you. Okay, so nice to meet you, my three. Nice to meet you. I'm the coach. I'm Coach Changavi. Yeah, feel free to take a seat. Yeah, they threw the tray area. Sure. What can I say, my three? Oh, you're a Raptors fan? Oh, that's a oh man, my three, my th- I know they beat us in 2019, my three. Okay, I it's still a tough loss for me. Can we not talk about that, please? We're here to talk about you, my three. Okay, let's talk about you, my three. All right, my three. We doing good? Perfect. Hopefully, you can handle a little constructive criticism better than Mindy did. I'm just joking. Uh, Honestly, my three, I don't really have much to say. Uh, great job. I think you're really, really good. I think you're a really good actress. I like you as a person. I think I've watched a lot of interviews with you. This is my first time meeting you, and you seem really, really cool. Um, I actually was on your Twitter right before this, and I saw that you did a little spiel on, or like a voice memo on pronunciation of names. I thought that's really important, particularly in our society that we live in, where a lot of Indian names get fucked up. Let's be real. I mean, I did a whole segment on all the various names that I've been called throughout the years. So I appreciate you bringing that issue to light, particularly with your platform. Um, I really think you did a solid job with Davey. I think you made the role as best as you could with the writing that was given to you. Okay. And I don't think that's an indictment on you. I don't think anything related to Davey is an indictment on you because I think you do the best job that you possibly can with the writing and the scripts that you're given, which frankly are pretty eh. I mean, they are, right? You can't say. I respect the NDAs though. Um, but yes, I don't like your character. I really don't. And I don't know if you have a personal attachment to Davy, and that's what I was going to ask you. And I think this is a question that you should keep in mind is that you grew up in Toronto, right? And Toronto and Ontario in general has a huge Indian community for those people that don't know. And I'm sure you know this, my three. Um, do you relate to Davy? Like having grown up in such a big South Asian community. I mean, I know like the macro Toronto community is big. Maybe you grew up in a white suburb. I don't know where you grew up. I'm not stalkery like that. But do you relate to Davy on a personal level? Oh, you can't say again. Okay, that's fine. But that's a question that I think you should keep in mind is how can I bring my own personality into this character? Because I feel like a lot of times you seem very different off cam or off off the screen of Never Have I Ever. I feel like I'm looking at two different people, and I've watched a lot of interviews of you, and I've seen you on Twitter, and I've seen you here, and I've seen you there, and you're very different. You're really cool off the air. I think we would be friends in real life if we were like, if we knew each other, if I was running in the same circles that you are, but you're not. Um, because you're famous, and you're from Toronto and you don't like the Warriors. But, but I think that you are very different on camera and then like from what I've seen of you in interviews, like off the show type thing. Um, and it's an interesting balance that I get you have to deal with. And I get there's a lot of pressure on you. I understand that, my three, because you are, whether you like it or not, the first South Asian woman to ever kind of reach this type of platform. To be the head of a show is no joke. And you are the main character of this South Asian show that's been pinned to South Asian show by Mindy Kaling when she pitched it, right? And since it came out on Netflix, you are the head and you're doing a great job. And congratulations to you, my three. I mean, you're set for life. Okay. You may not, I don't know how much money you're making now or whatever. I'm sure you're making a good amount of money, right out of, I think you're 18 or 19. So that's crazy. I think you're 19. So you're making a good amount of money off this show right now. I mean, I think there's big projects in your future. And I think Never Have I Ever is just kind of like your breakout show. And I think you do this for a couple more seasons, get your fame up. My questions that I have to ask you really don't have, well, they do have a little bit to relate to Davey. Is, the first question, which was you growing up in a big South Asian community, at least in the macro. How does that relate to how can you relate to this character personally? And the second question I have for you is, how can we take your stature on Never Have I Ever, right? You've done great things, my three. You are now the token South Asian woman in Hollywood. You've taken the Dave Patel status and put it for a woman, right? You are that. If that makes any sense. You know how Dave Patel like was basically put in every Indian guy role in Hollywood for 8 years. You're about to hit that status where you're about to get a bag. You're about to make a shit ton of money playing the South Asian woman in a lot of different comedies and movies and whatnot. So congrats on securing the bag. How can you leverage Never Have I Ever? This is my question to you. How can you leverage Never Have I Ever into getting even bigger roles that may potentially make a difference? That's what is my question to you. And do you think your role right now is making a difference? I think to an extent it is. I think to an extent it's huge that there are South Asian girls that are seeing themselves on TV. Do I think that they relate to your character? Not necessarily, but I think they think it's cool that there's a brown girl who's playing on who's on a TV show, right? I think they think that's cool, right? We can agree on that. I think it's cool that there's brown girls on TV. Hell yeah, support. But how can we take the idea of you? I know that sounds weird, but how can we take you, right, Maitri Ramakrishnan, and bring you to a place where you're making really good, solid, relatable content for South Asians? If that's what you want to do. If you don't want to do that, then yeah, fuck, do whatever you want. But if you want to make a difference and you want to make some real South Asian content, how can we leverage that for you? How can we leverage Never Have I Ever into getting you into a bigger platform? That's going to be the next question. That's how we're going to take your career to the next level here. And my last question is very simple: is how do you connect to Baby? Because I feel like you're disconnected. There's just scenes where I feel like you're not fully in it, and that's not any like criticism at your acting. How do you connect to Davy? I'm genuinely curious because it seems like you and Davy are very different people. Davy is this completely like doesn't know what she's doing, like doesn't have her shit together, like just completely a mess. I mean, all teenagers are to a certain extent. But yeah, sorry for that motorbike back there. But how do you connect to Davy personally? And yeah, I mean, I know you can't respond to any of these questions, but I think these are things that you should keep in mind as you move on with the show. But it was great chatting with you, my three. Nice to meet you. I hope you can. Okay, great. She left. I couldn't even ask her if she wanted to come on the podcast. Shit. Yeah. Feel free. Send Megan in. Yeah. Hi, Megan. I'm Anuj. Nice to meet you. Welcome to the show. Megan. Megan Surrey, it's nice to meet you. And you have also earned yourself a bag too, because you just became the star of this season. Congratulations. You're the fan favorite. I mean, in my opinion, I think you're going to be the fan favorite of this season. I would much rather this show be based around you than Maitri's character. And that's no offense to Maitri. Again, like she's a great actress. She does her job well with the lines that she's given. I have many questions when it comes to Mindy and Lang's writing, but oh well. But Megan, you were the highlight of this season by far. Okay, of course. Yes, you deserve all the praise for this. You were the highlight of the season. You saved the season when I thought it was going to complete garbage. The first 2 episodes of the season weren't very good. I thought the 3rd episode was solid, but it wasn't really about, anybody South Asian. And I'll talk about it with Darren later, with the 2 boys, Darren and Jaren. And then you come in episode 4 and you relight this season up. You make this season a hell of a lot better than it would normally have been. And I like your character. I like the way that you are comfortable with yourself. You're the opposite of who Davy is. You're comfortable in your skin. You're confident. You're fun. And I think that is a very appealing character. And I think Mindy Kaling did a good job of making you. And I think that's a credit to her writing. Maybe I should have told her, but she left. What can I do? Right? I know. But I really like the way that she portrayed you in this season. She did a fantastic job. You did awesome. Thank you. Um, you did a great job with portraying this character. But my question to you is very simple: is why did you dip 3/4 of the way through the season? I feel like your arc just kind of like it was going, it was going, it was going, and then you just left. Like I feel like you were just gone for 2 episodes, and then you come back, and then you're there again, right? You're with Ben and you're going with him to the dance. I feel like you just went to make out with Ben for 2 episodes and then you left and then came back. Like what? Where did you go? I'm so confused. Um, but in terms of your character, and I want to have an open discussion with you about this, is I feel like there was a lot that was really well done in terms of like I think the whole your eating disorder arc in this season was fantastic. I think that's an issue that definitely needs to be brought up. And I think they did a decent job of talking about it and a decent job of bringing it up. Do I think Davey looks like even more of an asshole? And you come out of it looking great. Of the whole situation I'm talking about with Davey mid-season. And your character comes out looking great. Um, I I think there could have been a lot more done with your character that I would have been excited about. I think that you being Muslim and Davey being Hindu, I think, and obviously having immigrant parents, like there is some divisiveness, there is some question marks. I mean, even if your parents are cool with Hindu people, like yeah, there'll be like the occasional throwaway joke here and there. I mean, I would love to have seen them explore that whole dynamic, right? The Hindu Muslim dynamic, because that's a dynamic that I mean, yes, we're all Indian or Pakistani or South Asian, but like there's that Hindu Muslim weird sort of tension that kind of came with our parents from India all the way to America. And we're kind of caught in the middle of it because we don't really understand it, but there's still like that friction. You know what I'm saying? So I would have loved to see them explore that with your character. Maybe they will in season 3. I would be very, very excited if they did. Um, so, let's see what they can do with that. I've said this multiple times, and I think I said it again. I'll say it again now. I think you're the better main character. I think the show should have been based off you the whole time. I think it would have been a very fascinating show because you're actually a likable person in the show. I personally don't know you that well outside the show. I'm sure you're a very great person. I'm sure you're great. I would love to have you on the podcast, Megan. You should please come on the podcast. I'll pitch you right now, Megan. You want to be on the podcast? You want to be on the Coach Changavi's podcast? I'll pitch you right now. Okay, Megan. I'm talking to you right now, Megan. Megan Suri, I would love to have you on the podcast. I think you're gonna be a really potentially great actress in this industry. You did a great job in this season. I would love to hear about your come up as a South Asian actress in Hollywood, getting on a Netflix show, and where you're going from here, because there's a lot of stuff left to be desired with your character. And also, what are your other projects? I'm so curious. I have so many questions. Please come on the podcast. Okay, that was me breaking my character. But Megan, I think you would be a much better main character choice than Davey. I think that is a fact. I think that would have been better. I would have loved to have Anissa over Davey as the main character. But I get why, Davey is the main character. It's more like Mindy than I think Anissa would have been in high school. And I just know you're going to be the fan favorite as time goes on, as we move on. You're going to be the fan favorite of this season. And people already love you. People are already saying a lot of great things. I was perusing the internet. People really like your performance in this season, and I think it's very valid. I think you deserve all the positivity that's going to be coming your way. So enjoy it. Megan, congratulations. Yes, thank you. Feel free to leave yourself out of the room. Yep, of course. And that's pretty much all I have for you, Megan. So, yeah, I mean, keep it up. Keep doing what you're doing. Excited to see what you have. Okay, awesome. Yeah, if you could just send Richa in next. Yeah, she's right outside, right? Okay, cool. Richa, hi. Nice to meet you. Okay. Yeah, take a seat over there. You know the drill. Richa Morjani. Oh, Richa. Okay. So, real quick, hold on. I've been talking for a while. before we get in to you on the show and your character and some of the questions that I have for you, I wanted to tell you something real quick. I found out you went to my high school, Richa. You went to my high school. You are a Saratoga High School alum, Richa. So that's really cool. I recently found that out. I don't know how. Actually, one of my friends told me that you were in town. He saw you, and you guys had a conversation, which is cool. So I think that's super sick. Again, would love to have you on the podcast as well. Uh, would love to relive some Bay Area memories. You know, and talk and discuss and hang out. I think it would be fun. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I mean, you went to my high school, so you kind of know the vibes of the Bay. You know the vibes of the South Bay. You know this Indian American community, which leads me to my first point is you grew up in the Bay. You know what it's like to be surrounded by Indian people, a big South Asian community. How do you relate to Davy personally? Do you relate to Davy at all? Or are you more so like I don't know, that character's kind of weird, like I'm a stick to my lane type thing? Do you relate to Davy? Like in any extent, were you as boy crazy as Davy was in high school? Did you have strict parents? Like I don't know what your dynamic was, but I know you grew up in my area, right? In the South Bay. And I know how Indian it was. I know you're a little older than I am. I know you must have graduated, mid 2000s, but it was still pretty Indian Asian out here. We're surrounded by the same community. I mean, you would go through your traditions and there was a lot of, I'm sure there was Dandiya still. I'm sure there was Diwali, Holi, all that stuff was celebrated everywhere. Like, I'm sure you weren't the only Indian girl at our high school. That's my point that I'm trying to make. And I think that I'm interested to hear, like, how do you feel like you could relate to Davey having grown up in the Bay? And I'm talking about you personally, Richa. Yeah. In terms of, you are one of the characters, Richa, that has the fake accent, born and raised again in the Bay Area. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about the fake accent? Because you are someone who is in that generation of like, oh, fuck the accent type shit, right? Where it's like, I want to be my authentic true self, but you put on this accent for the show. Kamala is from India, and you are playing someone who, I mean, I don't know if you grew up in India or you spent extensive time in India. I mean, I think that would make more sense in terms of your relatability to the character, but you are you are the character of someone who is who's kind of the lovable foreigner type cast, right? Of the show. Is that fair to say? And I'm curious to see like how you relate to that. How do you relate to that? That's interesting to me. I don't necessarily know how you would relate to the fake accent. I don't know how you feel about it. And I'm very interested to hear like how do you feel about the fake accent, Richa? Having grown up here, having experienced life here, having gone to college here, having gone to high school here, it's a very different vibe. And you are playing someone that spent most of their lives in India and now they're here. How do you feel about playing a role that you can't really relate to? I'm presuming. Yeah, that's just a question I had. I really like I like your character on this season, and I like the arc that your character has. And I think there was a lot more that could have been done. There was a lot more left to be desired. And I feel like that's the theme of this season is that there was a lot more that there was so much untapped potential that wasn't even tapped into or touched. And I am a fan of your character. I do like Kamala. She reminds me of my cousin who moved here to the Bay recently, or like 3 years ago. Shout out Shreya. She reminds me of Shreya. Kamala a little bit, not a lot, a little bit, but I get like that perspective. That's a good perspective to have. I love that is in the show. And so I really like your character. I'm a fan, but how do you relate to the character? Because it feels like you're kind of disconnected, and sometimes that accent kind of bothers me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. particularly knowing your background. So I'm curious. I really want to know like answers, like legit answers, not like I know you can't talk to me, Richa. You can't talk to me here, but I'd love to have you, the real Richa, on a podcast and discuss like what does this role mean to you? Like, how did you like rise up in Hollywood? All of these things. I feel like South Asian girl or South Asian woman in Hollywood. Like, there's a lot of shit, and I would love to have that conversation. I think it's a very interesting conversation with the fake accent. I think it's a very interesting conversation with growing up in the Bay and being an actress, and relating to Davey. Like, do you like? I don't know. I feel like I would be like a different type of press. So I mean, if you would want to be on the podcast, I would love to have you, Richa. But in terms of stuff I really liked the Prashant and Manish love triangle. I am a fan of this. Of course, it's because I love Manish. He's my man crush Monday. Utyarksh Ambekar is officially the love of my life, and I wish I could do a whole segment on Manish Kulkarni every week. But I love the love triangle between you, Prashant, and Manish. I'm a fan. I'm excited. That's one of the main plot lines that I'm excited to see coming up here in season 3 if you guys get renewed. Want to see definitely more. I would love to see more of the behind the scenes with Prashant. I know there was a couple scenes where he was like just kind of play the game type thing, and that kind of gravitated you to Manish, who's more free spirited towards the end of the season. But it felt the stuff with Prashant felt really rushed, and I felt like there was a lot of stuff with Davey that was just completely unnecessary in the grander context of the show. And I would have loved to see more with you. I think the whole love triangle in the first 2 episodes was, I mean, it was gosh darn waste of time. Right? I think they should have put more Kamala in those first 2 episodes. I think focusing on Davey and this, awkward love triangle is weird. So, Richa, thank you for coming in here invisibly. Richa, would love to have you on the podcast in real life to really have an honest discussion about your character and about you growing up in the Bay and going to my high school, all of that stuff. I think it would be really, really fun. So, what do you say? Yes or no? But yeah, thank you, Richa, for coming in. And the next character I have, Purna, thank you for coming in. Yep, feel free to take a seat. Purna. So Purna, you play Nalini. And honestly, I don't really have very many notes for you. I thought your character was just simply like in the middle. I didn't really have particularly strong feelings either way. But I like you as a person. I know your background. I know you were in Ye Giovanni, Hey Divani. I know you were in Rami. You've been in a lot of shows. You're the OG of South Asian Hollywood. You did things before all of us were probably even fucking born, right? Like in this industry, you have paved a lot of fucking doors for people, which is important. And I think that needs to be recognized. Do I agree necessarily with your decision to do a fake accent on this show? No. Do you relate to the character of Nalini? I can't say yes or no because that's not my question to answer. But I just really quickly wanted to thank you for being an OG of South Asian Hollywood. And I think it's cool because you get to play the mom to Devi, who's like the second coming of you in a way, right? Quote unquote, because she's going to be like, or Maitri is going to be like you playing the mom and then Maitri playing the daughter. I think that's cool because you're like the OG and then Maitri is going to be, the new generation here in South Asian Hollywood. And I think she's going to be ever present for a really fucking long time. And I think both of us could agree on that. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I really wanted to say thank you because I'm a big fan of yours. And I think that you have done a lot of really awesome things in the industry already. I'm sure there's going to be more to come. You've tackled both Bollywood and Hollywood, which is rare. So keep it up. And yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say about your character. I think there's more untapped potential with your character. The stuff in India, I felt like was a pretty half-assed arc. No offense to Mindy Kaling. But I felt like there could have been more done there. I felt like there could have been more, interesting things. I felt like it was just weird. And I felt like they were trying to put you in throughout the season. You had the stuff with Chris, Dr. Jackson throughout the season, who I really like that arc. I think the interracial relationship is also like untapped potential for season 3 that I'm very, very excited about. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that later in my potential storylines thing, right? Yeah, you want to see you and Chris together? Yeah, I know. But yeah, so that's pretty much all I have to say about Porna. I mean, you were really good this season, and I would love to see you more throughout the show. So hopefully we can make that a reality. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Feel free to send Darren and Jaren in. Perfect. So Darren and Jaren are gonna be the last two I talk to. I know I left Eleanor and Fabiola's character or actors and actresses, the actresses of Eleanor and Fabiola off the list. That's because I really honestly didn't have very much to say to them. I think Lee Rodriguez is awesome, who plays Fabiola, and I honestly don't know the name of the actress that plays Eleanor, and that could get me canceled. But she was okay. I also really don't like the character of Eleanor, so I don't really want to talk about her for a long time. But I do have no feelings towards the actress. I'm sure she does a good job, and I feel like there's nothing much to say about either of those two characters because they were just kind of there this season. I felt like Eleanor was just, oh, I'm in this relationship. Oh, I'm gonna bounce with this actor. Oh, he's toxic. Oh, I'm single again. So, I felt like that was pretty much her role this season. I think I've always liked Fabiola. Um, she's just chill. She's kind of living her own life. It almost seems like she doesn't want to be involved with the show in terms of like her vibe, where it's like, dude, I just want to chill and like play with my robots and hang out. And I respect that. I just don't think that's like very conducive to a TV show where you have to be like dramatic and have kind of personality. So, yeah. But those are my thoughts on those two. Let me get into Darren and Jaren because they're sitting right here. Darren and Jaren, my man. First of all, I want to say I think it's weird, Darren, that you're 30 years old and you're on this show, hooking up with a 19-year-old. It's a little strange, but oh well. I am not the I'm not the decision maker when it comes to that stuff, so I'm not gonna say that. Darren, you were honestly though one of the better spots on this season. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think you were really, really good. Paxton 2.0, super likable. I'm a fan of Paxton 2.0. See, I loved Gigi Hadid as the narrator. Gigi Hadid as the narrator. I want to make this very clear to everybody right now. Gigi Hadid was the highlight of this season, ladies and gentlemen. She killed this fucking season. The one episode she was in, she made her mark. She was a funny narrator. She really like talked a lot about her personality. She was fun. She was, I felt like she really fit the role of Paxton just beautifully. I thought she did a really, really good job. But I also felt like Darren, who plays Paxton in the show, you did a really fantastic job. You were really. I thought the character was way more developed this season. Last year, you were like a walking body. That's basically what you were. I mean, last season, right? No offense, your character was that. I'm sure you're a great person. The character was a walking body last season. That's pretty much all you did. You were like, I'm Paxton. I'm hot as fuck. I have abs and I'm on the swim team. That's pretty much your character in the last season. And you had a sister who you were really nice to. This season, I got complicated Paxton. I got Paxton who, you start to see his problems. You start to see that he really wants to work hard. And the Paxton studying arc was really cool. I like seeing Paxton working hard. I like seeing Paxton like genuinely wanting to be better. That made it interesting. And I loved that arc for Darren. And I think your character in this season is going to be one of the fan favorites because you were one of the better spots on this otherwise pretty like season of television. I'm going to be honest. I feel like, Darren, you also grew into the character a lot. I feel like in season 1, you were very tentative. It felt like you were very conservative with the character. I felt like you were just trying to like get by. But in this, I feel like you were really exploring in this season. I felt like you were really tapping into different parts of the character. You were becoming more of yourself. Or I was seeing more of yourself kind of shine through with this character and just having fun. And I'm excited to see where that goes. I still will admit, though, there were a couple of scenes in this show that were absolutely not needed with you. The one scene being the fucking chainsaw when you're building the stupid table and it's like 5 minutes of you shirtless with sweat dripping down your whole body and you like cutting up a piece of wood. I thought that was completely fucking pointless. I literally just like died laughing watching that. I'm sorry, Darren. I know you are very buff, but that was completely pointless. I did not need to see that. Again, you're 30, which I don't know why they cast you, particularly as a high schooler. You're supposed to be a high school sophomore and you're almost 30 years old. I mean, congratulations on looking so great, but like, But like that's kind of weird though. Anyway, Jaren, Ben, you were totally forgotten this season. I feel like you were barely in this season. I feel like you were one of the highlights of last season that kind of kept the whole thing going. And then this season, you were just, yeah, you were there. You were with Anissa. You dipped for like 5 episodes, came back, had a couple things to say about Davey. You were disappointed that Davey broke up with you, all that shit. And then you dipped again. And then you like, I didn't get to see Andy Samberg except for like one line in the show. I was pissed. I liked you a lot last season, and I felt like there was definitely potential for you to grow this season, and they did nothing with you. They basically made you the same cocky douchebag that you were last season, and only put you in like 4 episodes, it felt like, because I felt like you just disappeared after that. You were gone. And again, so much untapped potential, so many things they could have done with your character, and frankly, I'm very, very disappointed. I think that there was potentially a lot that could have been done with this character. So yeah, pretty sad about that. I thought the relationship with Anissa was like whatever. You know, I thought that was like I don't think that was really an arc. But I felt like they were just looking for any excuse to write you out. And honestly, that has nothing to do with you, Jaren. That really doesn't have anything to do with you. I know I'm talking to you invisibly, but also the real Jaren. That has nothing to do with you. That was more on Mindy. And honestly, I'm kind of mad at Mindy because I liked your character in the first season and there was a lot of untapped potential, which is, again, I've said untapped potential like a million times. That's the theme of this season is untapped potential that was not hit. So I'm sorry, Jaren, that Mindy did that to you. I apologize. The coach apologized. The coach would have put you in more. That's the point I'm trying to make. So, yeah, Jaren, Darren, you can go in now. And I'm going to get into the second half of my show because that was all the actors and actresses that I just wanted to give their questions to. I wanted to give them honest performance reviews, kind of ish. And I wanted to give them questions to think about in this second season. Mostly the one question I wanted Darren to think about was, why do you think that you're here at the age of 30? But yeah, with Jaren, I would just like to see him in the show more. I honestly felt like his evaluation was incomplete. I felt like I couldn't give him an evaluation because there was nothing to evaluate, which is crazy to think about. So that's all I'm gonna say about Jaren and Darren. And so that concludes the actors and actresses portion. So I'm gonna go through this part real quick, which is my kind of overall thing. I'm gonna see if I can get this done in like 15 to 20 minutes here. But again, this is my first time kind of really evaluating a TV show, so I'm gonna get into it. But I just let's talk about the positive first, right? I feel like we've been kind of negative about the actors and the actresses, and I've kind of been, shit talking them a little bit. But let's talk about the great. The great that was in this show. I mean, the first thing that there's 2 characters that pop out to me that were really, really good in this season. And I think Paxton is the first one. He starts out the season the same as Paxton season 1, just a a fucking sex symbol, normal dude, right? And then the Gigi Hadid episode comes, and boom, his character takes a turn for the way, way, way better. I think he is 100% in the argument of the conversation, in the argument for being the best, most improved character on this show. 100%. He was. It felt like I was seeing a new side of him, and I feel like he got development, which is important, but he got more development than the main character did, which is like, bro, what the fuck? Like the boyfriend question mark? Well, I guess now he's the boyfriend. That's been revealed after the end of the season. But the boyfriend question mark got more attention than the main character of the show. And I felt like he got really good development. He did really, really good. I thought Darren did a good job with the character. I just feel like overall, Paxton was definitely a really good point of this TV show. And I'm very, very excited to see where his character goes in season 3. I think there could be a lot. I don't really think there's much left that can be done with Paxton, if that makes sense. I feel like he hit his ceiling this season. I wasn't really expecting a lot from him, and I got a lot, so I was really excited. But I don't think there's much more that you can do with Paxton. I'd be interested to see where they take his character in this next season. Could potentially be very interesting. So I'm gonna keep an eye out for that. The second one I want to bring up is obviously my boy, my man's, the man who can just, I wish was just the main character of every show is Manish, my man, Mr. K. He was great. I mean, he was in the show for like a total of 7.5 minutes throughout the whole thing, but that just proves how much I'm craving brown boy representation other than Hassan Minaj, right? Like, I would have loved to see Mr. K be a big part of this season. I would have loved to see him play like, a bigger part. I would have loved to see him go on a date with Kamala this season. Maybe we'll get that next season, which I'm very excited about. But I feel like he's a very interesting character. He's an English teacher. He's brown. He's got the earrings. I feel like he's like the cool brown dude, right? And I feel like he's got his like ex-brown fuckboy days. Like, I feel like there's so much we could do with his character, but it's untapped. And I feel like he was really, 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 really good in like the 5 to 6 minutes I saw of him. I thought he was funny. I thought he had a good sense of humor. I just think that he's a character that could be really, really cool and was highly underdeveloped. And I'm going to put him in the great category because I would love to have Utyarch Ambekar on my podcast and talk about Manish. And I'm going to tell him all about the script that I have planned in my mind for his character. That's a spinoff show of this, Never Have I Ever, talking about how Manish secretly grew up in Fremont, California, was on a Bollywood dance team, performed at Irvington Bilsay, and then, became disgraced when he decided to be an English major at UCLA and has basically been living his life at Sherman Oaks High School as a English teacher. Okay, that was weird. But anyway, yeah. Another great thing about the show, I thought the subtle culture, this is what I like, right? I like subtle culture. I think this is a definition that I want to bring up. Was it too subtle? Yes. But I think the subtle culture, they're on the right track with this, where it's don't ram the culture, don't ram South Asian culture down the viewer's throat. Don't be like, we are a South Asian show. We are this, we are that, blah, 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 blah. Here's cultural tradition after cultural tradition. Here's stupid joke after stupid joke and reference after reference. That doesn't need to be a part of the show. What can be a part is it can be a backdrop of the whole thing, which I feel like they were trying to do this season, but epically failed. Okay. When you can't just be like, I feel like they almost made it a backdrop, but like completely ignored that she was South Asian, which is like, there's a fine, delicate balance. And I get it. It's hard to do. But I think they're on the right track when it comes to the subtle culture aspect of things. The producers I'm talking about. So good job, Mindy. I think you did a really good job with that. A good job of laying the background, and hopefully we can see more in season 3. The grandma, Patti was great. I mean, yeah, she was funny in like the few lines that she had, and I thought she was a relatable character. She was finally someone and like that I could have seen in my life experience. That's great. I'm a fan of having a grandmother type figure. I just wish Mindy Kaling would use her more and not have her, be the wisecrack in the background. I wish that she would kind of bring the relationships with the family to light. I feel like there's a lot of dynamics that are underexplored. Maybe we'll get to see them all play out in season 3. Maybe Mindy Kaling is going to do a complete 180 on me and make the best season 3 ever. I don't know. We will see. And then Anissa. Anissa was the last, I think, really great thing to happen to this season. She was fantastic. Megan, I talked about it earlier. She did a fantastic job playing the character. I think that Anissa is a character that has a lot of potential to grow in this show. She is like, I feel like she hasn't hit her ceiling. Like, I feel like Paxton has hit his ceiling for about as far as he can go. I feel like Anissa has barely touched like the floor. Like, I feel like there's such a high ceiling for her in terms of like what she can do, in terms of what she can bring to the table. I would love to see her be a bigger character on the show than Eleanor is. I actually prefer her to Eleanor to being in the friend group. I know I'm causing drama, but like, nah. I mean, I think she's such a cool character. I'm really a big fan of who she is. She seems like she's just well-rounded and good, like a good person, which is like rare in this show because everyone seems to be really annoying and mean. So yeah, those are like my great things on the show. I think Anissa, Paxton, the Bhatti, the subtle culture, foundation. I think those are the really great things that I want to talk about. When it comes to the not so great, I mean, of course, we have to talk about the not so great if we talk about the great. Here's some of the not so great. I think the character arcs in this season were so poor. I think they were so poor for some people, for some of the characters. I think there were other character arcs that did good. Paxton's character arc being one. I think that was the one character arc that was done well throughout the season. I think the Nalini to India arc was one of the worst arcs on the season just because it felt rushed. It felt weird and awkward. I mean, I was confused why the Indian grandmothers talked in more of an American accent than Nalini did. I felt like there was so much more like inner dynamics that you could have explored with it. I get it's a half an hour show. You can't include every single little detail, but there's a lot that could have been done with those things. And I feel like they didn't hit on any of those particular arcs with Nalini. I feel like with Patti, there were so many arcs they could have hit on. I feel like with Devi, I mean, I think the whole character of Devi is just messed up. I think that's how I'll talk about her later. She's definitely in the not so great. I mean, so many of the arcs on this season felt incomplete. Anissa being one of them. I mean, I felt like the arc of her character really went from like a oh yay to like another brown girl to like where did she go to like oh she's making out with Ben for 2 episodes to like oh she has no ending. So I hope that's not them phasing her out. I hope she doesn't like transfer out of the school or whatever. But yeah, I mean the character arcs in this season were beyond poor. I mean, they were really not very good for a lot of these characters, and I feel like the underdevelopedness doesn't bode well on the season. And if they continue writing like this, like I think people are going to start to call it out more. There's no brown boys. I mean, this is just something like personal. Like, yeah, there's no brown men on this show. I mean, besides Mr. K, who that's why I probably stand him so much, is because he was the one kind of brown presence besides Prashant and Mohan, and Mohan, who's Davy's dad, and who's dead, who's in it for like 3 seconds, and then Prashant, who's like kind of unrelatable to me because I feel like he's Indian, and then yeah, and then Mr. K, and that's about it, right? And we're supposed to like brown boys are supposed to relate to one of those two characters, and I feel like yeah, most of us relate to Mr. K for the 5 minutes he's on screen, but like I would love to see more of him. I feel like we need to balance out the male representation with the female representation. I'm all for this show being for the females. Love it. Have it. Bring in more females, absolutely. But with every, I think there are also men in women's lives, and I think it's vice versa, So I think there needs to be some balance with that. And I would love to see potentially more male representation on the show. Talked about this a little earlier, just going to brush past it. Lack of culture. I mean, I feel like I said that there was subtle culture, and I feel like that's what they were going for, little subtle references at different things or like dynamics and stuff like that, relationship dynamics and stuff like that. But lack of culture was definitely present in this season. It almost felt like they forgot Davy was Indian a lot of times with the love triangle, all of that shit. It felt like it was very it felt like it was turning into To All the Boys I Loved Before, which had nothing to do with the culture. So I felt like that's what they were turning into. That's why I told Mindy at the beginning, I was like, listen, you want to make this a show without culture? That's fine. Just don't pitch to people like it's the South Asian show. That's it. So yeah. Davy is another, not so great. I mean, I could go at length for how I think her character is completely problematic. I think in the first season, she literally makes a mistake. She comes back from the mistake, and it's like, okay, complete, right? And the second season, she makes the same fucking mistakes over and over and over and over again, and then still comes back. I'm like, why are people friends with this motherfucker in the first place? Like, this is no offense to any of the actors, the actresses. I want to make that very clear. But, like, what the fuck, dude? Why are people still friends with Davy? Like, she should just be all alone at this point. The amount of fucked up shit she's done throughout the first 2 seasons of this show, she should have 0 friends, let alone a boyfriend, let alone, like, everything. Like, I don't understand how she can be a complete asshole and still come back from this. If this was me in high school, dude, I would have been completely canceled. The very limited following I had, I would have had 0, right? Like, I don't understand it. I am fully just unaware of what, the lack of of Davy's character, what the fuck they're trying to do with her. I feel like it's incomplete. It's weird. It goes all over the place. I mean, yes, she lost her father, and like that's the big overarching theme, and like she's acting out in a certain way. Yes, 100% get that. But also, Like, I feel like people don't constantly act like this all the time. I feel like you learn from a mistake and you say, oh, fuck, I fucked up. Let me improve that instead of making the same mistake 8 times the next season. So that's just me. I feel like Davy is she's such a stagnant character. I feel like I've seen no growth from her from season 1 to season 2. I feel like she's the same exact person. Um, just who's gone through maybe a little bit more life experience because she got older. So I'd be interested to see if they actually provide her with some growth in the next season. And then lastly, Les Eleanor. My God. I'm not even gonna talk about her because she's so freaking irritating. I don't know if I'm biased. Can you guys honestly tell me, is Eleanor a good character? Like, I genuinely find her to be so fucking annoying. I don't know what it is. I don't know, if it was just me projecting on being oh, and you're just being mean to a girl. No, I genuinely don't like those type of people who are over dramatic, who are, oh, I have this boyfriend. Oh, I'm just going to flip to this boyfriend. Oh, he's toxic. I feel like she's just so fucking irritating. And she pisses me off, and she shouldn't piss me off because I shouldn't give her that much space to live in my head. And this is the character. I'm not talking about the actress. The actress, I'm sure, is a great human being, but I do not like her character. Her character is an asshole. She's just irritating and annoying and overdramatic, and I would love to see her off my screen sometime soon. But yeah, those are my great and not so great with this season. So I'm just gonna, hit right back in and transition to what are the things that I would improve, because I feel like I can list all of these things, but there's no point without anybody executing on it, right? So I guess three major things that I really would like to see happen. Number one is build out your side characters. Please don't let your side characters just sit there, make a couple jokes, and make that their personality. Fuck that, dude. Why? You could do so much with your side characters. You could literally have them be in a couple serious conversations, reveal a couple details about themselves, and I would be happy, right? There's so much that you can do from that. There's just little things with the side characters. There are little details that the audience picks up on. They're like, oh, I can put a name to the face. If Mr. K was I was from Fremont and I Bollywood danced back in the day, but my parents found out I was an English major. You could say that in 3 fucking sentences. It doesn't take that long, So I feel like there's no need for side character. I feel like there's no need for leaving these side characters just to sit there and be flat. I get you obviously can't give everybody a full arc, but I think the side characters need better arcs. Even Prashant, dude, he was just a nerdy engineer the whole time, right? There was no real personality to him. He said he made one comment, which was oh, just be content with what you have and don't stand up to your boss, right? Something along those lines. And I feel like that was his personality throughout the whole show. He was just kind of villainized. But yeah, I would love to see the side characters get better arcs, because actually I do really like some of the side characters on the show, and I would love to see them kind of get more involved. I would love to see, the second thing I would love to see is building out the characters' lives more rather than just focusing on Davy and her relationships, right? This show is supposed to be, as Mindy Kaling pitched it, the South Asian show, okay? Talk about her life. Do not just talk about Davy's love triangles, Davy's relationships, Davy having sex, Davy losing her virginity, Davy doing this, Davy doing that in a relationship. I don't care. As a viewer, I do not care. Maybe there are 16-year-old girls out there that do care, and that's giving you your viewership, which is fine. But if it comes down to the economics and they're making you money, yeah, have Davy go sleep with everybody. I don't care. But if you're actually trying to make a quality show here, why do you have to talk about Davy and her relationships for 80 minutes out of the 90 that you're given on this fucking show? Talk about her life a little bit. Talk about who she is. Talk about her dynamics with her mom. That's a really interesting relationship you could talk about. Do a little bit more cousin time with Davy and Kamala. I'm not even saying bring in more brown boys. You have good characters. You have solid characters on you. Use those 2 characters. Bond them together. Don't have Davy and Eleanor time, for God's sake. Jesus. But they're both so annoying. But put Davy with other characters. Put Davy with Anissa. I like that dynamic. Put Davy with I don't know. Put her with the characters, some of the South Asian characters in the show, and it's great. And I think it's great. Like I think you could make a lot of potential. And the last thing I had was get Manish more involved because I'm a Manish stan, and I will always forever stand up for Mr. K. Even if he's uninvolved in season 3, I will still advocate for him to be in season 4 as a main character. This guy is great. Okay, he's the one like developed brown or semi-developed brown side character who's a boy on this show, besides Prashant. I would love to see him. I would love to see this love triangle between the three build out, but also like what the fuck happened to that Steve guy, that Asian dude? He just like dipped off the surface of the earth. I would love to see a Steve return in season 3. I don't know who like is it just me or like does everyone want to see Steve return or is everyone like where the fuck did that guy go? I just realized like that guy Steve just fucking disappeared off the surface of the earth, especially from this show. They just like pretended like he died or something. But yeah, I would love to see Manish get more involved. I'm a big fan of that, and I will continue to advocate for my guy, Mr. K. Okay, so second to last topic we're going to talk about real quick. I know we're at an hour and 11 minutes. For those of you that are still watching, which I highly doubt because a lot of people don't watch this long. So potential season 3 storylines. This is just something that like I like to throw around, kind of shoot the shit a little bit. I would love, and season 2 storylines, they listened to me for one of them. I said, bring in another brown character. Boom, they brought in Anissa. I'm very, very happy. I would love to see more brown friends for Davy, because I think that's such an important dynamic, particularly when you're growing up and a brown person. Like, you have more than one brown friend, and you don't meet your first brown friend as a sophomore in high school. That's just weird. I would love to see some of Davy's family friends maybe move back to the high school. Maybe get to see them, maybe get to see some other dynamics. A brown boyfriend is another thing I was throwing around. Like, I would love to see some guy named Akshay like walk in and be like, sup. And like Davy be like, oh my God, he's Indian. My mom would love him and I love him too. When's the shadi, right? Like, I would love to see that shit happen. That is the type of storyline I'm talking about. In terms of other potential season 3 storylines that aren't unrealistic, Paxton and I would love to see Paxton and Nalini interact more. I feel like every time they do talk, it is kind of funny. Again, like more of the boys of Davy and her mom interacting, because I feel like that could potentially be really cool. And obviously, if the relationship with Paxton ends up growing, I would love to see Davy introducing her, like Paxton, to her mom and her grandmother and Kamala, because I feel like that would be really, really fun. And I'm a big fan. But I feel like with season 2, the problem that I had was it started out with the love triangle and it's going to end with the love triangle, and the love triangle will probably continue through season 3 and will probably end with another love triangle because this fucking situation is never going to get resolved. You can have a love triangle in a TV show, I feel like, but you have to find a way to eradicate the third thing and just have them move on. But of course, with these fucking teen dramas, that doesn't happen. Gotta get some water. Loved another potential season 3 storyline that I would love to see happen. Davy and her grandmother's relationship. I would love to see that kind of progress and potentially see something there. I'm just going to go through these real quick. Manish and Kamala, that's something I would love to see. You're going to get hinted at it at the end of season 2 there with the ending scene with the subtle Kamala showing up to the party. So I would love to see Manish and Kamala, see where that goes, see if they end up, going anywhere. This was just a fun one that I threw around, was just get some like Indian kid who's from Fremont or some shit and transfer him to this white ass school and be like, dude, all my friends back home at Irvington High School were hella Indian. Why is everyone here white? And then maybe bring in some, Bollywood dance team, and Davey joins the team and it turns into this fucking great thing. I would love that. I think that would be really funny. And then another arc that I think would be really, really, really cool would be if Davy's mom and Chris continue their relationship secretly, because obviously it ended towards the end of season 2 due to Davy's mom and Davy being an ass, understandably being an ass. But Davy's mom and Chris, I would love to see that potentially continue. I feel like it will. There's a lot of really interesting things that I think we could see there. Interracial relationships. I would love, love, love to see. Never have I ever tackled that, and see what Mindy Kaling does when presented with that challenge of an interracial relationship within the show. And the final verdict. Do this real quick. Let me get the banner up because I forgot it. Oh, here it is. The final verdict. So you like that? You like the little bolding? The final verdict. Um, Here's how I feel. I'm gonna be honest. I gave this season, and I think what you guys have mostly been hearing for the last hour and 15 minutes or so is a lot of criticism. And that's true. A lot of this is criticism. And a lot of this is me being like, hey, listen, I like some of the foundations that you guys laid this season. I really do. I think it was an improvement from season one. But I really, really, I think to take this show to the fucking next level, for me to be like, okay, I'm for this. Cut down on the romance, please. Put some more stuff about life. Put some more stuff about the culture. Make this a more well-balanced show. But that being said, I think this season was slightly better than season one. That doesn't say shit, though. That doesn't say anything because I thought nothing of season one. I thought season one was garbage. I borderline considered not watching season two because of season one, but I decided to give it a chance, and I was pleasantly surprised that it was a little bit better than season one. I actually thought this season was way better than season one. Season one, or not way better, but slightly better than season one. I thought there was a lot more that I could that was going on. I liked some of the stuff that they did. The Paxton arc really helped me continue to be interested. Bhatti, Manish, of course, Manish, bro. Manish made this season a 10 out of 10. I will give it a 10 out of 10 just because of Manish. No, but there was just a lot of different little elements that happened throughout this season, which I really liked. Anissa, bringing in Anissa really helped. Paxton's improvement, Manish, the subtle culture aspect of things, like potentially being a foundational element for the rest of the show. Nalini and Chris Jackson. I think that's going to be a great storyline heading into 3. There's a lot of cool things that I think were set up in this season that could make for a really good season 3, or they could just forget all the shit that they built this season and just make a garbage season 3, which is what I think is probably going to happen, knowing Mindy Kaling and what she does. But the final verdict of this show that I have, and I don't like to be negative, and I know I said garbage there, but like here's how I feel. Is I think that this season was slightly better than season 1. And I think season 3 has the potential to be really good. Will it be really good? Time will tell. Am I interested to watch season 3? Absolutely. But this is still a show that isn't targeted at my demographic. I found it to be pretty cringy at a lot of the time. And I feel like we're heavily critiquing this piece because it's the first South Asian piece. And it's the first one. I feel like when it's the first one, a lot of people have their own impressions of it. But that being said, my final verdict for this season is I give it a 6 out of 10. Yeah, actually, no, I'm not even going to give it a 6. I'm going to give it a 5.5 out of 10. This is good compared to last season. Last season, I gave this show probably about a 4 out of 10. It is about a 5 to a 5.5 out of 10. I wouldn't go give it a 6. A 6 has to be like solid. This is about a 5 to a 5.5, maybe if I'm feeling good on a good day. This is a 5. Yeah, a solid 5 to 5.5 out of 10 is how I would kind of grade this show right now. And I thought I gave it a really objective review. I thought I was really solid, and I thought I picked my points well here with the show. I know I may have rambled a little bit. I know the show was a little long at 1 hour and 18 minutes, but I'm going to be cutting up clips, so you guys shouldn't worry. But if you do want to watch the whole show, it's there. It's going to be up on YouTube sooner, or it's going to be up on YouTube, so you could just watch the full show. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, like and subscribe to the channel. If you guys like my TV show reviews, if you guys like this whole concept of me talking to the actors and giving them questions to think about, all of that stuff, would love it if you would comment down below. Let me know how you guys felt about this season, because I have strong opinions. And this show, again, my final rating, 5 to a 5.5 out of 10. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, tapping in. I really appreciate all of you. Have a great weekend. And I will see you guys potentially next week for another episode of the Changavi Show. And podcasts are coming up soon, so get excited. All right, guys, I'll see you. Peace.